Hi guys, Dan here, and in today's video we're going to be having a look at the Bracypelma Boehmei. So I'm going to be showing you how I keep my Bracypelma Boehmei and also some things I've noticed about this species, as I do see it on some beginner/intermediate lists. It's a fantastic species. It was my first tarantula. He's been fantastic. He's not really had any attitude. I know the Boehmei can be quite skittish and defensive at times. I've definitely seen the skittish side of things, but I've not seen the defensive behaviour yet. One interesting thing I did notice about this tarantula is the stridulation, where they can rub their front pedipalps together and it makes like a hissing noise. I've yet to catch that on camera, but it's very interesting. I didn't know this tarantula could do that. Also, if you've noticed, I'm now using a new camera, so you'll have to bear with me while I get used to the settings and how to use this camera. Currently I am shooting on a 4K setting, so if it turns out to be pretty cool, I might use this from now on. Also, when this video drops, this channel will probably have reached its first 1,000 views through all the collective videos, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who watches my videos and supports. I've got a tremendous amount of love for all my fans and everyone who's watching my videos, and I just can't wait to make more content for you guys so you at home can watch my tarantulas grow up and hopefully we'll get some absolutely stunning specimens. I would also like to get more involved in this hobby, so when I find out what tarantulas I have that are male and female, I will be looking into buying mature males to start some breeding projects. So I think the first breeding project is going to be the Triticalto albipilosum, because it's kind of a beginner species, so because it's a relatively easy species to keep, I haven't got to worry about looking after the spiderlings that they produce, as they are not going to be much of a hassle for me. But yeah, hope you enjoy the video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. So this is the basic setup I'm using for my Bracypelma Boehmei. I am planning on switching to one of the stackable storage containers that I like. They are the really useful boxes which you can buy from most DIY stores for fairly cheap, but this has done the job for now. As you can see, it's got about 1 inch of substrate in, which is my mixture of cocoa fibre, vermiculite and sphagnum moss. And this enclosure has been dampened recently because this tarantula is near Imprimo. I just wanted to up the humidity slightly. Nothing too much, because obviously this is an arid species and I don't want to make the enclosure swampy or stuffy, so just a light misting on one side. I do tend to pipette down one corner to try and get the substrate moist from top to bottom. Because this is a terrestrial species, you will find that they adapt to pre-made burrows, or they will tend to dig their own out. So this one has made its hide underneath this cork bark. The terrestrial species do tend to use pre-existing burrows if you give them the opportunity. I just had to fill the water dish up in this one because I noticed it was empty, and I thought I'd use this opportunity to test out my new camera's capabilities. So moving on to the spider, as you can see, it's just this stunning black and orange, literally fire-legged tarantula. This is a New World species coming from the Western Hemisphere in Mexico, so it does possess urticating hairs on the abdomen of the tarantula, which is the part towards the back. The venom is not medically significant, but obviously everyone reacts different to certain things, so unless you know you're allergic to anything, I would not recommend getting bit by any tarantula. But this is easily avoidable as long as you take proper precautions and work safely. If you would like my opinion on whether this is a good beginner tarantula, I would say yes, this is perfect, as this was my first tarantula and I had no issues. Now, the Boehmei is known for being a little bit more defensive than the Bracypelma like Hammer Eye or Smithy or the Aratums, any of the Bracypelma really, but I've not really had any issues with this. Another thing that makes this a great beginner species is because it's just so easy to care for. I mean, all the Bracypelma or the Triticalto albipilosum, which is now known as the curly hair, they just require a basic setup. You could just have a storage container full of substrate with one piece of cork bark, and this would suffice for the spider.
The main thing to be concerned about when owning one of these as a beginner tarantula is the urticating hairs on the abdomen, as this species is known to kick hairs quite frequently if disturbed, and I've heard that these hairs can be very unpleasant for this particular species. But I mean, you shouldn't let that put you off, because any tarantula can flick hairs at you as long as it's a New World species, but we'll get into that in another video. The Bracypelma Boehmei just holds a special place in my heart, as this was obviously my first tarantula, and I mean, he just looks stunning. He has molted while he has been in my care, and I've sexed him as a male. So unfortunately he won't live as long as, say, a female, but I mean, that doesn't bother me at all, because he's just been a fantastic pet tarantula. As far as feedings go, I feed all my tarantulas once a week, apart from the larger one, which is the cobalt blue and the curly hair tarantula. They get fed once every other week. Now, I never give the tarantula anything bigger than the carapace unless I know it is more than capable of taking it down. Like the Phomictopus auratus, for example, I quite confidently put a larger mealworm in with that one because it won't have a problem eating it. As this is a juvenile tarantula, I just put in a medium-sized cricket once a week and then come back the day after to see if it has eaten it. If the cricket is still in the enclosure, then I remove the cricket before it does any damage to the tarantula. It's not just physical damage, it's also like a mental damage as well. Obviously it can stress your tarantula out if it keeps being disturbed by this cricket jumping around its enclosure, like I'm sure many of us would if it was in our bed at night. The beauty of a lot of these New World tarantulas, such as the Bracypelma, is the setups can be as elaborate or as simple as you want. So obviously I've got a few bits of decoration in mind, and I do see the tarantula interacting, if you could say that, with some of the decoration in the plant, mainly pulling them out of the substrate and moving them around. Now, I don't know if this has any benefit to the tarantula, but for me it's quite interesting to see, so I'm going to keep putting decorations for the tarantula to dig up in my enclosures. But yeah, absolutely stunning species. I couldn't be happier with this tarantula.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. If you did, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you for the first 1,000 views, and I hope we can smash some more records in the near future. Thank you and goodbye.